shop adventure. Today we are doing nothing but marking our obsidian slabs to get them ready to a rough cut. And I'm going to show you some of the processes I go through and selecting the shapes that I want to put on particular rocks. And then after I have this bucket done, we'll take you out and cut a bunch of them off using my modified Ameritools trim saw. So just to get things started here, what I do is, yes, I'll start off with some obsidian slabs or agate slabs or jasper or whatever you've got. And then I start going through my selection of templates. And I have a bunch of them. I am not a creative person, so I can't sit down and look at one and say, this shape belongs on there, and then just go draw it on there. Can't do that. But see, there's also something else too we have to consider. What does that slab look like? Well, this is why we got to wet it down, take a look at it under the different lighting situations, and oh my, that's some rainbow from Davis Creek. Okay. So then I have to figure out the lighting source and how does the lighting look. So let's go ahead and situate this light here as it's coming from me. And then we will look at this. So I want to orient this part up here towards the top. So what side do I want as the face? Do I want that side as the face, or do I want this side as the face? Let's take a look. The water's beating up on this one, so it's going to be harder to tell. But you can see there's lots of color in it. So decisions. I got to figure out which side I want the face, which side I want top. So there's that one. Let's move along this way. With the other, let's get it wet. Does it want that way? Or does it want to be this way? That's a tough one. What about this side? Get this side here wet. And you know, sometimes a sponge here might work better than a spray bottle. Oh, there's green. So what do I want? Do I want the color like that? Or do I want that as my facing color? I think I'm going to go that way. Let's look at this one here next. Ooh, that one's also green. But what's on this other side? You could also dunk these in the bucket. Ooh, that's also green. Okay, so, but then we got this little guy here. I have no idea what this one is. So I'll have to get it wet. Huh. There it is. It's got some silver sheen in it. There you go. You can see it there. So does it want to go this way? Ah, it's at a slight angle. Does it go this way? Does it want to go this way? About this side here. So I'm going to try my best. There we go. That's going to be a tough one because it's got to sit off at an angle. And I'm trying to get to see it in other directions. And right now, the only direction I'm able to see it is like that. Okay. Well, that'll be a side-to-side profile. It's going to go that way. Now this one here, this one is. So turn this light down, point it up out like that. This is why I use two lights. And look at that. That is midnight lace. So that one there, I'll have to pay special attention on how I want that lace pattern to show up in the cabochon. That's cool. Didn't realize I had one of those with me. Chunk of leopard skin, mahogany. Oh, this one here, though. The shade is right. Let's see if that is what I'm thinking it is. Not much translucent areas in it. So you can see that one right there, and you can see one there. So don't have to worry about that too much. So we're just going to go after the pattern on this one. What pattern makes the most sense? Sometimes I spend longer figuring out patterns and designs than it does to cut these things. Here's another mahogany. And again, how much do I want one that's all the orangish red? Or do I want one that split it with the black? Here's another one. These are things you have to consider. Then here's a tight grain or a tight, small, dense snowflake. And that one is whatever feels good. And then I also have a large pattern snowflake. So on this one here, I'm going to try to have one to maximize it while working around that crack that's down there. You see that crack? So you got to work around the crack and maximize these patterns. So I'm going to get you guys set up and have you watch what I'm doing as I'm marking a few of these. And then the next part of the video after I'm done marking them, this one is just going to take you out to the little saw and start cutting. Okay, we're going to start off with the mahogany leopard skin. And I've already figured out my first shape that I'm going to use. And this is off of this template here. And to me, that looks good right there. I like how that's going to fall in there. And I'm going to have it, try to have it fairly close to the edge where I'm not wasting as much. And what I have a tendency of doing is I have a tendency of clamping it on. And that kind of allows me to let it sit. For obsidian, I use paint pins. And normally I have something to dabble them on to make sure that the ink is flowing or the paint is flowing. So sometimes if you see my work and you see dots in the middle, that's why. Okay, let's move that down just a little bit. And we'll try to do this. And this may have been the wrong one. Let's try. This is what happens. You can mark it with a blue marker or a red marker or a green marker. It would show up, but it's kind of tough to see under the wrong light. Let's see this one here. This one here might be a better shot. That's the downside with these pins. Down my last one. There we go, finally. Okay, so I'll let that dry for a second. There's the first one I'm going to use. The next template I'm going to use is this one here. Now I have to leave enough space in here to be able to cut without chipping into the example piece, or without chipping into this one I'm working on. So that's usually enough space, and I like it because, see, when you turn it sideways, there you go. I like how that fits. And you got to be careful with these paint ones, because if not, you'll have the paint run underneath, and then you will have a mess. And so as soon as I'm done, I usually lift that up for a second. And then kick it off. So there's that one. Now, what do I want to put here? Do I want to try to make a larger one, or do I want to do two smaller ones? I could fit a larger one right there. And then see what I can fit down here. And the primary reason why I use the clamp is it's just a third set of fingers for me to help hold this in place so it doesn't slide when I go to market. Okay, so now we have this area here. And I'm going to thumb through the book until I come up with something that I like. Well, that didn't take long. I think I found it. Let's see if one of these here will fit on here. Well, looky there. That one will fit. That one could also fit. Now I'd have to cut it from here to here, and then cut from here and meet up with the cut right there. I think I could go down a little bit. That's a flat edge. Let me see where that's at. Okay. That's a good one right there. I'm happy with that. So let's go ahead and clamp this up. And then we'll mark this out. Yeah, I know this isn't the most exciting process, but it's what has to get done. Nope, too much paint here, so I got to go like that. Pull it up, pull it back, so you can see where it's smudged up here and a little bit down here. And that's okay. I should be able to work around that with no problem. I just like trying to leave clean lines, so if I'm working late in the evening, my eyes are tired, I got something to follow along with. So there's that first one. Off of that little slab there, was able to get 4 cabochons. So let me get set up, and I'm going to grab that rainbow piece, that first one I showed you guys, and we're going to do the similar process with this rainbow. Okay, I've went ahead and kind of pre-selected some ideas. And what I want to do is I want to maximize that blue area that we saw earlier. There you go. Now you kind of see that. So I am going to start up here, and then I'm just going to work my way down and see what all I can come up with. And there is a ridge on there I did not see. I should have chipped that off before I put that in the bucket. That's just right at the edge of the cut. So usually when you're on the slab saw and you get this close to the edge, the obsidian is just going to break and the stone's going to fall off. Generally, you should want to clean that little ridge there off. So let me see. I wanted a little bit of an elongated one up here. So I think that one's going to be the cat's meow for the first one. And again, I'm just sitting here trying to maximize the material. See, to maximize the material, that should go that way. But we're trying to emphasize some of the color, so I'm going to go that way. Now, ones like a plain black or a smoky clear or something like that, you just position the templates to get the maximum number of cabochons off of a slab is what you can get. So let's go ahead and get this one marked. Oh, see, I held it too long. It's smudged. Let's lift that up. Not too bad, though. Definitely work around that. Okay. The next one I want to work on is a teardrop. Now, do I want that size? That's too big. Or do I want the little bit smaller size? clamp that on there. Welcome to my world. If something's going to hang up on something, it's going to. And I'm going to push it over to the edge just a little bit. Now we got to wait for a minute for that to dry. This is a slow process. I mean, look how long this one video is this clip for just the first two, although I've been doing some fumbling around. But it takes a while to do this stuff. And people get mad when you want to charge them $20, $30, $35 per cabochon. Well, and then they try to compare stuff like that from a craftsman or a lapidary artisan to something that's made overseas on a production cabochon machine, an industrial cabochon machine. And then they complain that our prices here are too high because they can use child labor there and use production machinery and knock out 100 of them to 200 of them in 1 hour. And the material with them may not be ethically sourced like it is here, with me anyway. Okay, so I'm going to look for something else to go in the middle there. And the downside about my system here is that you got to be careful because things like to go for a slide. And there we go. I want this one here. Will that one fit in there? Nope. Do I want to put that one in there then? Ooh, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to work. Nope, not good for that one. Ooh, what do I want to do here? So now I've got a dilemma. What do I want to change up? On this. There we go. There's my solution. And see, a lot of this is just figuring out what works the best. So there's 4. Now I want to do something here. This is where I wish that chip would have been, or this edge would have been knocked down. But I'll do my best. Okay, let's find 1 or 2 more shapes that will work. There's something that could work. Something that is wide. I can do another one of those pieces. Forgot to cap that. When you forget to cap these, paint. See what happens? Okay, let me show you an example here. Okay, that's a screw up. And it's going to dry before I can get to it. Pure acetone. That's how the best way to remove this paint. You hear it shaking onto a rag. There's a little bit on a rag. Now let's go ahead and wipe. Works better with a microfiber cloth rather than a terry towel, but I forgot mine today. There you go, good enough. But you can remove marker marks and the whole 9 yards with acetone. Again, wrong towel type. Okay, so we're going to try this again. There is a lot of fumbling going on with me. It's like this all the time. Every time I start doing something on these, the fumbling is just ridiculous. It's the wrong tip. Look how nasty that is. I almost screwed up again. Oh, joy. See, smudged a little bit there. It happens. So for that slab, I've got 8 smaller to mid-sized cabochons. So as you can tell how long this takes, I have a lot of work ahead of me in this bucket. And I am not going to sit here and show you every bit of it. So I'm going to work on this tonight. And then the next part of this video will be of me cutting some of these. Now that I have all of these slabs marked up, it's time to cut them. And I use an Ameritools trim saw, originally 4-inch, it's now modified to 5-inch. And it works pretty good for me. This here will soon find itself as my portable saw. And I'm going to see if I can make it handle a 6-inch saw blade. And it should be able to without any problem. Might have to do some trim work here. And it might require some back there, but not too worried about it. This 5-inch blade is ultra thin, specifically for cutting slabs, or cutting cabs off of slabs. So let me go ahead and show you a couple of these. This is kind of like the other part, marking these up. Kind of boring, but it's something that has to be done, and it's all part of what I call rock therapy. And I'm only going to do a couple of these here for you. Find ones that make sense to use. Here we go. We'll do this one here. Even smudge marks, I don't care. My cabochons, yeah, I use templates to draw them. But remember, lines are only suggestions. And sometimes I don't follow suggestions very well. Or most of the time. So keep that in mind when you're doing your own cabochons. These lines are only suggestions. You can change them on the fly. Nobody from the cabochon kingdom is going to come down and haunt you saying you did wrong. Although I've had a few people try that with me. Didn't get them very far. Also, I do not run this for the obsidian at the highest speed. See, there's the highest speed. And that's a little bit too aggressive, so I tone it down a little bit. And that's good enough for that one. And what I do, when I'm in my normal shop, I have a thinner stick for this. Actually, here's one right here. So use a dowel rod, hold the blades firmly. That's a little trick that works pretty good. I didn't even see that there until just now. So here's another one that's ready to get trimmed up more. Okay, another one that's ready good enough. Another one that's good enough. See, it doesn't take much time to work on these. Word of caution, I'm not doing this, but you should while I'm wearing glasses. But you should probably be wearing some sort of eye protection because there are tiny little pieces. See that right there? Tiny little pieces of obsidian like that. And I've actually have some bouncing off my face. So keep that in mind. If you feel like you need to have safety salve, you don't need something like that real sharp edge thing coming back and sticking you in the face. Look how sharp that is. Okay, let me go ahead and work on this guy. I got a little close to that, but I'm okay. I have a habit of getting too close to the lines, to that line right there, because you see there's a little bit of chipping. And you should leave yourself a little bit more room so you can clean up that edge really good. So there you go. There's another one. So you got this one here. I'll go ahead and trim that off. I'll trim that off, and I'll maybe trim some of that off. But you guys get an idea. Now, so what some other people do is, for example, like with this one here, there's cracks over here, so I had to move these over. People actually draw a line that they can follow with their blade, because see how close that is? That might be pretty tight for some people to keep that in line there. So some people will go through there and draw lines for them to follow. And that's okay. If that's something that you want to do, be my guest. Do it. If it helps you increase the quality of work you do, go for it. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. So now you've seen kind of the first 2 steps I go through in making cabochons. My prior video from not too long ago, you've seen kind of the final 2 steps in more detail, where I was on the intarsia machine and the cabochon machine. So now, out of a couple of different videos out of order, you've seen everything I do. Have any questions? Shoot me drop a message below. If you have a custom slab or a slab that you want a cabochon made out of, and you don't have the equipment to do it, send me a message. 1jawsjr@gmail.com. We'll see what we can do to work something out for you. I have no problem doing custom work. Right now I am focused in on obsidian, but for some of the softer materials I have no problem doing. The harder materials I can get on those next spring. So everybody, I'm going to let you guys go. So, and this rainbow obsidian one's going to turn out neat. Even in this lighting, you can see the colors. And unfortunately, there's that crack there, so you had to work around it. Look at the colors in that. So remember, everyone's life's an adventure. Then there's mine here, working on cabochons. This is the Adventures of Charles Jr. Have a good one, everybody. See ya.